buckle up, folks, because what you are about to witness is the most spectacular opening to any podcast in broadcast history. Look, there's Queen. Now Van Halen. And Madness too. And all of this within the first few seconds of the show. Now, what have you done to deserve such an extravaganza? Well, it's not what you've done, but where you are. Because these are just some of the bands, albeit in tribute act form, that have appeared at the Flowing Spring pub in Playhatch, that's just over the river from Sonning. It's a place where live music has become just as important as the food, the beer and the community that surrounds it. But creating a thriving grassroots venue isn't just about booking great bands, it's about taking risks, backing original artists, balancing the books and overcoming challenges that most venues never have to face. I've been speaking to owner Nick Wilson and started by asking him what drew him to the pub in the first place.
Why I got involved is a difficult one. I think I just blame my wife for that one. She wanted to do something together. I mean, my background was marketing, really, and a bit of hospitality. Hers was mainly hospitality, chefing, and so on. And when we got together, she wanted a business that we could both run, which I thought was a mad idea because I was quite happy as I was. Thank you very much. But yeah, and eventually we found this pub and we just sort of fell into it by mistake. It wasn't planned. But it was on its knees and it needed some love and help. And we had some ideas for it, and it was brewery owned at the time. And the brewery was sort of taken with all our plans. So we took it on in 2010. A long, long time ago now.
Wow. And what would you say were the big changes you've made? It really comes down to, I guess, the food offering, but as you know, the main thrust I'm going to be going along in this podcast is the music offering. But let's start with the food first.
Yeah, well, it was firstly obviously getting the pub back up running and popular again. And one of the things we thought we'd do, because we knew a lot of people with food intolerances and food preferences, so we thought that we'd start with a menu of homemade food that catered for those people really well. So we sort of rearranged the kitchen so it was a gluten-free kitchen. So that was one of the first things we did. We've always been into live music. My background's in music anyway. And so it made sense because we've got a lot of land here. The more we could use it for things like live music, the better. So we actually started off on a quite a big scale in our first year. We had JTQ here. I don't know if you know who.
James Taylor Quartet. Yeah,
exactly, yes.
Kind of like, for those who don't know, actually we had a guest on a few weeks ago on the RG10 podcast who's played a trumpet with the James Taylor Quartet. They're what would have been described in the 90s and probably still now as acid jazz.
Yes, acid jazz, absolutely. Yeah, so we started big time. We saw JTQ with the big band at Ronnie Scott's, and I met him afterwards and I just said, any chance you play at our pub? And he said, well, let's talk about it. And we did. So we put a big scout tent up in the garden. We had a good few hundred people turn up for that. And then we did it again the following year. And then we thought, right, let's actually make something of this now, make it more of a sort of permanent, regular feature. And that's what we've done ever since, really. So we've had music indoors in the bar, outdoors in the garden, and now we sort of tweak it so that the stage, which I'm on now, can also be used as its own little venue in the colder months. So in effect, we have 3 venues in one, which is rather tasty.
How do you strike the balance between kind of bands that might be doing their own stuff, things like that, but also getting the tribute acts in which you have an awful lot of as well?
Well, my preference would be always to have original music, because I think the musicians who are creating this stuff really deserve all the attention and all the credit and the money. They're working hard. It's an art, and I've got so much time and respect for them. The problem is commercially, you need to balance that with, taking money, making it work. And that's where the tributes come in, because, if you're going to put on a good Led Zepp band or whoever, we have a whole list, then the people will come. They're going to indulge for the whole night in that band's great catalogue of music. So commercially, just to keep us afloat, keep the money coming in, we do the tributes. But our preference is, whenever we can have original music, we will. But bearing in mind that the number of people who might want to come to that. So, there might be a new band locally that we want to put on, but they're probably only likely to attract 40, 50 people. Whereas someone like JTQ, who's much better established, is going to attract a few hundred. So you think about, where we could put them on. Is it right for our audience? We know our audience very well, the sort of demographics of them. So it's balancing all these things up to see what will work, what won't, what is just an absolute no-no. I mean, we wouldn't have a Taylor Swift tribute here. I mean, it's not.
I was going to say Taylor Swift tribute. probably if she came along and asked to play, you might have it.
Well, we might entertain her, but I don't even know if there is a tribute to her, because they'd have to be extremely good, wouldn't they? I mean, to pull that off. But it's, we got to know, we know our market, we know what's like to work here or not, and the sort of tributes that will work here, the sort of original music that will work here. But our priority is always, when we can, is to support original music.
Gotcha. And so what are the biggest obstacles you face as a live music venue? I guess one of them is the fact that the Flowing Spring is renowned as a kind of a venue that floods in the winter every year. Is that something that crops up?
Well, that's always something. I mean, it's always in the back of our head. Whatever we do, is that we have to sort of think about contingencies and that. And it's one of those things. I mean, it does flood here every year now. It's just getting worse and worse. But what we're doing is we are booking, but with a sort of caveat that there is a chance, if we have no car park and no real way to get into this room for the autumn winter gigs, then we might have to just postpone it, and that's just how it is. But we rather book these things and hope they go ahead than just have an autumn and winter of nothing. That'd just be tragic.
Are there any particular obstacles apart from that when it comes to putting these events on, booking acts, anything like that that's sticking in your mind?
Well, I mean, it's becoming more and more of a risk. You hear a lot now about venues cancelling gigs last minute, which is absolutely understandable, because people's behaviour has changed in terms of committing to buying tickets.
Okay.
That might sound a bit odd, but in recent years, we've found, and a lot of venues have found, that people are leaving it to the last minute before deciding whether to do whatever they want to do, or they, and us as a venue, we know how much we're paying the bands, we know what our costs are and how much we need to cover. So we need to know that we've sold enough tickets, and that's something that's obviously done. We need to know in advance rather than after the event. But people just aren't buying tickets so early. So a lot of venues, including us, are looking at it and thinking, we haven't even covered our costs yet, and we've got a day to go or 2 days to go. And then you have to make a decision. Do you carry on and hope people will turn up on the gate, or do you cancel it? And so many venues are now just saying, we're not taking that risk.
Really?
This it's just something that seems to have changed, the behaviour of people, particularly since COVID. I mean, COVID's got a lot to answer for in terms of how people behave. I mean, the general pub going is different since COVID. People don't go out as often as they did. I think they probably realise just sitting at home with a cheap booze from the supermarket saves them lots of money, but they forget about the value that the pub brings generally as a social hub and so on. So there's lots of things going on there.
Have there been any particularly memorable band performances that stick in your mind that you can tell me about?
There are some where we've just been astonished by the turnout. I think that, when the word obviously spreads with when you have a particular, I mean, like CODA, which is the Led Zeppelin tribute band, they are absolutely astonishing. And we had them in their very early days before COVID, and they were pretty good. And then they sort of rejig things and have worked so hard on detail, and a couple of changes in musicians, and they're absolutely astounding. I mean, they've obviously studied Robert Plant's every move for every song. It's that intricate. It's astonishing. And the last year, I can't remember how many tickets we sold in advance. On the gate, people just kept flooding in, and the garden, you couldn't see a blade of grass. It was just fantastic. Nights like that, you just think, this is, you can't beat this. It's absolutely wonderful. So the same with MoonAge, the Bowie tribute band, who actually started life here, their first gig, and we did their first promotional videos here, and that sort of kicked them off on their journey. So now they're touring the country, doing the theatres and that. All started here, and so we've had them about, I know, 10, 11 times. And yeah, they always bring in a great crowd too. So
Yeah, I saw them at the Flowing Spring a little while back, so I can vouch that they were absolutely terrific.
we want to go for the top ones, so they've got to be good. There's lots of tributes out there. You probably think a bit iffy, but we do our best to sort of research them and check them out online, and and make sure that they are good, and it's live as well. It's very important. A lot of them are sort of probably part live and part backing tracks and things. And I'm all for pure live music. It's got to be. I think when you're a musician, you get quite passionate over that. It's very easy to put some pre-recorded tracks on and people not know, or perhaps you do know. You can work it out.
Yeah.
It's got to be musicians working and doing their thing and properly entertaining the audience. Get a lot of pleasure out of that.
Finally, then, what would you say you're most proud of in the 16 years you've been at the Flowing Spring?
Well, I mean, the pub game is challenging, to say the least. We all hear of the stories of how many pubs are going under, virtually every day. It's absolutely tragic. So I think, well, firstly, I'm very proud of the fact that we're managing to survive throughout all this, and because we're now independent, we bought the pub back in 2017 from Weller's. So me and my wife own it, and all the beautiful land and the wild. We don't own the wildlife, but we enjoy the wildlife that we have here. I mean, sometimes I think my wife.
Wow,
I
that's
think
news.
my wife thinks she does own the wildlife. I mean, she hand feeds the pheasants and the pigeons and the swans, and does lots of Facebook videos on all this stuff. I mean, she's just a natural with nature. Anyway, apart from all that, I think very proud of the fact that we are independent. All the brands that we serve, drinks wise, are independent, family owned businesses, not the big conglomerates. I think the small businesses deserve money rather than the big ones. It's another thing I'm passionate about. So yeah, being completely independent, choosing who we work with, supplier wise. I think the pub having a lot of character, personality that brings in people. It's a really sociable, cool, calm, lovely place to be. And the live music, the standard is just wonderful. So there's lots of things to be proud of, actually. And because it's our home as well, we have every incentive to keep this going, probably until the day I drop. What a better place to finish up. So we just love it. We're absolutely in love with this place and do everything we can to keep it going and make it work. And with the support, of course, of all you lovely people out there, for which we thank you.
That was Nick Wilson from the Flowing Spring Pub. Keeping live music alive has never been easy, but as Nick shows, passion, perseverance and a willingness to take risks can create something truly special. And if you want to know which acts are going to be appearing over the rest of the summer, then go to the website, theflowingspringpub.co.uk. Thanks for listening to the RG10 Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and join us next time.